Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Boss Talks. I'm Christine Drummond, your host. I'm here with my awesome co-host Joel Lord, and we are bringing you an incredible podcast today based on the book that we're reading at the moment called Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. We highly recommend it. We're going to focus on chapter 2 today, which is all about self-confidence, which is my jam. So hopefully you get a lot of gold nuggets out of this. But firstly, if you love the value, if you love the content that we're sharing, the only fee for listening to this podcast is that we ask you to please share it with other people. This is free information, free content. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on our own training, on our own personal development, on our own self-evolution, and we want to help the masses. We want to help people really thrive in life and live a life that's where they feel alive and inspired. And I think this podcast is going to help you do that today. And firstly, I want to talk about, at the start of every chapter, I mentioned this on the last podcast, there's a little quote that he has, and it's, "You can do it if you believe you can." And I feel like that quote, so many people talk themselves out of things because they're in the comparison game. They start looking at what other people have achieved or what other people are doing, and then that little voice in their head tells them, "Oh, but you're not smart enough to do that. You don't have enough money to do that. You don't have the resources. You're not pretty enough. You're not confident enough. You're an introvert. You couldn't possibly achieve that." And so we talk ourselves out of belief. And one of the lines in here as well is, "Skepticism is the deadly enemy of progress and self-development." And I think that's another thing that's wrong with the world right now. We are so skeptical. We are so closed-minded to opportunity, to things that are going on. And yes, you do need to be skeptical. Yes, you need to be judgmental sometimes because it's a safety mechanism. We need to protect ourselves. And yes, there's bad people out there trying to take advantage of others. But what if you started opening your mind and saying yes to more things? What would life look like? I know it would be a lot more adventurous, and I know that you'd probably have a lot more fun as well. So, I really think, and at the start of this book, he says, please, Lord, please, universe, please make me more open-minded. And if we all lived in that state of open-mindedness, oh my gosh, will we have an incredible experience in this human form, because that's all we are. We're just spirits living in a human form, and we are light and we are energy, and the way that we vibrate, it doesn't just impact ourselves and the thoughts that we're having and the success that we're having in life, but it impacts our household. It impacts our family, our extended family. It impacts our friends, our community. And if we choose to be skeptics, if we choose to play at a lower vibration where we are focusing on all the negativity and the fear and the worry that is jammed at us every single day, honestly, guys, I can't tell you the last time I listened to news on the radio or the TV or anything like that. I'm not buying into fear tactics, okay? The media, the government, they want us to be fearful. That's how they control us. But if you have an open mind, if you start being, get rid of the stinking thinking, the lazy thinking, and start ciphering through all this information that's being thrown at you, you're going to be able to make up your own mind on things, and you're going to feel so much freer. So I'm going to talk quickly before I hand it over to Joel about the 6 basic fears of mankind. And I want you to really think about which of the 6 fears is the one that you feel is most relevant to you right now in your life. And the first one is fear of poverty. Fear of poverty. The second one is fear of old age. The third one is fear of criticism and judgment. The fourth one is the fear of the loss of someone you love. The next one is fear of ill health. And the 6th one is the fear of death. So out of those 6, I want you to think about which one do you feel most fear around. And for me, I'm definitely not scared of death. I've come to the understanding that no one actually dies. We are just energy and spirits, whatever you want to believe. And that's a rite of passage. It's just like a rite of passage going from, adulthood to parenthood. That's a rite of passage. Going from a toddler into the next sort of stage and age of your life, that's a rite of passage. Getting married, another rite of passage. So we go through these rites of passage throughout our human existence, and death is just another rite of passage. So I have a lot of peace around that. Fear of ill health, I don't have a fear around that. I know that I live a healthy life, so that's definitely not a fear. Losing someone I love, again, it's that rite of passage. It doesn't fear me at all. I am so grateful for my loved ones right now, that I am so present when I'm around them, that it doesn't fear me to lose them, because I make sure they know that I love them, and I make sure that nothing goes unsaid. So I don't have a fear around that. Fear of criticism, yes, we all kind of have that. I don't know why, but we want to make sure that if that is one of your fears, that you are releasing yourself from that, because that's a massive burden, and that is going to hold you back from success every single day. Fear of old age, as annoying as it is, it's just part of life. So you can't escape it. Doesn't matter how much plastic surgery you do. We're all going to get old, unless obviously we're taken before we get old. But there shouldn't be a fear in that. And then fear of poverty, that was probably mine, was fear of poverty and how would we survive if we didn't have the money. And I'm here to tell you guys that we live in abundant times, and there is abundance all around us. And having a lot of money is not going to make you happy, okay? But it can bring happiness through experiences and choices, okay? So Joel, I'm going to hand it over to you here. And because I know that you've done a lot of work around these 6 fears as well. Which one do you think, really stuck out to you?
Oh, Christine, I think this is a fear. Like, the fears is something that we've all got to face. And I think we all face every single one as we get older. And I don't know, maybe it takes until we're around the age of 40 to get through them, unless we've had like a large, catastrophe throughout our life. Maybe we learn about the loss of love early, or maybe we learn about, someone dies in the family when we're young, but I think the number one thing that stops most of my clients that I've worked with is the fear of criticism. And then a close second is the fear of poverty. They're the two that really destroy people's ability to take action. So one of the things that I do for my clients is, when I'm playing a bit of hardball with them, is I ask them, like, I can hear on the call, or when I'm working with them, I can hear in their voice when, they know the action that they're going to take is going to get them to where they want to be. It's going to get them the goal. And then I can just see for a second that person that they're worried about's opinion pops into their head, and they stop. And I'm like, that's when I call them out on it. I'm like, hey, whose opinion are you so worried about? Whose head just popped? Whose face and voice just popped in your head then? And it's usually mum or dad. It's usually a father or a parent. It's usually a parent. And I usually say, first of all, the words that you're hearing are made up in your head. They may not actually say that. And even if they did, they want what's best for you. Like, I refuse to believe any parent out there really doesn't want what's best for their child at their core. Some parents might have a funny way of showing it, but I think deep down, I have to believe in humanity that's there, right? And I'm confident that that's the truth. So what I get them to do is I get them to write a letter to front that parent or that person who they're so worried about. And I get it out of their head, down onto paper, and they don't have to send it. They don't have to have it out with their parent. They can if they want. It would be a good process, a good cleansing process. Just to say, hey, I'm doing this. This is my dream. Whether you are with me or not, that I'm still going to do it. This is what I'm being called to do. You may be right. Your criticisms may be right. I may be right. It's going to take us to 10 years to work that out. So you're either going to be with me and in 10 years be able to say, I told you so, or be with me and pat me on the back. Either way, I'd love you to come on the journey with me. And they get that out, and then the action starts happening, right? So I think it's a fear of criticism is huge. And then obviously, I think poverty is straight after it. So most people are frightened of poverty, gets them into semi-action, and then they worry about the fear of criticism, which stops them from taking the action. Because if there was no criticism in the world, we'd all be doing what we want, right? So I think that's that. And I think one of the brilliant things I've learned on my journey, and I'm sure it was in Mel Robbins' book, I heard the scientific reasoning behind it. That's why the 5-second rule works, is that confidence is something that can be built. It's not something you're born with. You know, and the error that so many people make is while they're at chapter 2, they're looking at the people at chapter 10 and they think that they've got it all worked out. So they lose confidence because they play the comparison game. But the truth is those people at chapter 10 don't have jack shit worked out. They don't have it worked out either. They're just having a go. They've just built enough confidence to like go out and take the action. So like if you're looking at Christine as a confident person, I can tell you like Christine doesn't have it all worked out. I do not have it all worked out. Tony Robbins does not have it all worked out. You know, like Tony Robbins from 10 years ago didn't have it worked out as much as the Tony Robbins today does, perhaps, but he still does it. Like you look at anybody, your Brendan Burchards, you look at anybody that you admire that you may have on a pedestal, they don't have it worked out either. They're just stepping into the unknown. They've just got more comfortable. They've built that muscle of confidence to a point where they look like they really have it going on. And the reality is they don't. They're just able to handle the smaller problems that might be in front of you now, like water off a duck's back, because they've had that rite of passage. I hope that makes sense, Christine. Does that make sense? Because self-confidence is a muscle that's built from doing challenging stuff. You know, so what are we really waiting for? Like I'm 40. What am I waiting for till I'm 50? Am I going to be more confident just because I'm another 10 years older? Like, does all that make sense?
It makes total sense. And in the book, he actually says self-confidence is no exception. It develops when used, but disappears if not used. Now, I don't know any successful person out there that doesn't have some form of self-confidence, you know, and I think a lot of it goes back to our programming and the beliefs that are instilled in us from a young age. And I want to share this story of this man who was born to poor parents. And since the first day he can remember, he has seen evidence of poverty all around him. He heard talk of poverty. He felt the icy hand of poverty on his shoulders. And it has so impressed him that he fixes his mind as a curse to which he must submit. Okay. So he's just kind of, you know, come to terms that he's always going to be poor because he's lived with it. That's the talk, the thoughts, the beliefs that have been instilled in him. So unconsciously, he permits himself to fall victim of the belief, once poor, always poor. Now, who's ever had a saying like that or finds themselves repeating poverty-minded sayings from their parents or their grandparents or people of influence around them? You know, I always heard money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think I'm made of? Money? No, we can't afford it. No, you can't go on that. We don't have the money, you know, and all that verbiage is programming the child into a state of, well, I can't have the things that I want because, you know, I don't have the resources. It's like limiting them on an abundant mindset. So if you're a parent and you're listening to this, please catch your verbiage. Please watch the words that you use around your children and maybe switch it. So, you know, what I say to my kids is, you know what, we could afford to buy that, but remember, we're choosing a bigger goal. We're choosing this to spend our money on this so that we can have an incredible experience. So when we were allowed to travel, every time the kids wanted something ridiculous, that I know was not going to bring them long-term joy, it was reminding them, you know what, we could buy that and we could spend our money and waste our money on something like that that's just going to end up in landfill and affect our planet, or we can put it towards this beautiful trip to the Maldives where we can have an incredible experience, as a family, and etch these beautiful memories in our mind forever. So it's about like creating new thought patterns, reprogramming. And it's difficult, right? It's something that you have to work at all the time, but you can break the shackles. We've spoken about this on other podcasts. You can be the first person in your family that breaks that poor man mentality just by choosing different thoughts, by choosing to live in gratitude and abundance. And, what's all this got to do with confidence? What are the fears got to do with confidence? Well, all those fears are holding you back. They're holding you back from living in your true potential. They're holding you back from living in your truth. They're holding you back from living in your values, which is what is important to you. So I want to ask you this question. What do you need in your day to bring meaning to it? What brings meaning to your day? What are the things that bring you joy and bliss and happiness and fulfillment? And why are we not choosing to do more of those things that bring us meaning every day? Why are we choosing to succumb to fear, criticism, judgment, worry, doubt, when we have all these other amazing, uplifting, inspiring feelings over here? That it's just a choice. And confidence is the same. If you feel like you're lacking confidence, it's a choice, it's a decision. It's a something you have to commit to working on. I was really fortunate. My parents instilled a lot of confidence in me from a very young age because my mum didn't have self-confidence. So she gave me the gift of confidence based on her own fears and anxieties around it. And it was an incredible gift, and it served me very well. And you can give your children the same gift, but more importantly, you can give yourself that gift as well. So I wanted to sort of talk about, there is a formula to self-confidence, which he mentions in this book. And the first step is to know that you have the ability to achieve your definite chief aim, which we spoke about last week. So you need to demand of yourself persistence, aggressive, and continuous action towards its attainment. But Joel, we see this and we talk about this so often. So many people don't know what they want. They have no idea what they want in life. And, how are they going to figure out what their definite chief aim is? And if you don't know what your definite chief aim is, go back and listen to our last podcast, because we talk about steps on how to find that definite chief aim. But Joel, that's step one of the formula, and it sounds easy, but there's certain things in there that you need to implement, like auto-suggestion, these positive affirmations. You've got to have it in front of you every day to direct your focus, because the world's going to want to steal it. There's so many distractions out there right now. We get stuck in the scroll hold because we're so addicted to seeing what other people are doing. Why don't you be the one that stops people from scrolling? You know what I mean? Like, why don't you be the light? Why don't you step up, and your positivity, your light, no matter what drama is going on around you, is going to allow people to rise. But you can't, if you buy into other people's drama, if you get stuck in what's going on in everyone else's life, you're actually enabling them and you're not empowering them. There's so much devastation going on around me right now in the lives of my family and my closest friends. But if I choose to drop my vibration, that's not serving them. So I'm confidently showing up as the light, as my truest self, so that I can hopefully help heal and inspire these people to come out of these situations, not so much quicker, but in a better place. It's like looking for the light in a dark corner. It's looking for the positives in a negative. There's always a positive in every situation. So Joel, that was just the first step of the formula. But what did you want to add in around this?
Well, just a message to the friends and family and anyone listening that might be going through something tough right now. Understand that you have made it through 100% of your worst days. So there's been times where you thought, holy crap, how am I ever going to get through this? This is horrible. This is the worst. And I challenge you to realize that you're still here. If you're still here, you made it through. And I bet you within 3 to 6 months after that horrible thing happening that you couldn't possibly get through, that was so bad, something awesome came of it. It's just the law of the universe. Like new things come from destruction. You know what I mean? Like animals eat plants, and then animals eat animals, and then like animals turd out stuff, and then that creates, it's like the circle of life. Go watch The Lion King, for God's sake. It's not that bad. So understand that the brilliant gift you get as a human, unlike other animals in the animal kingdom, you see a foal get born, or a baby, any animal really, any mammal get born. Within a couple of hours, sometimes minutes, they know how to walk, because that stuff is literally like hardwired into them. Humans, in most cases, are blank slates. We're adapters. So through trial and error, we learn the lessons we need to learn to have a fulfilling life. Like, it's not just imprinted on us. So, like, if you want to know how to overcome and get any goal that you want, this is how you do it. As Christine said, get clarity around what it is that you even want. In many of our podcasts, we've talked about how we've been on tours, and Christine's been on even more. And we ask people, hey, what is the goal that you're going for in the next 12 months? They don't know. 99% of people don't know what they're even going for. So if you don't know what you're going for, how will you know when it's standing right in front of you? If you don't know what your perfect partner looks like, and you got no idea what it looks like, how are you going to know when him or her is sitting next to you at a coffee table, or at the bar, or at the gym? Same with your house, same with your bank balance. Like, if you don't know what it looks like, how do you know? So get clarity on what you want. Step 2 is answer this one question: what's preventing me from having it right now? So if you want to have a 6-pack, I mean the one on your stomach, not the one in the fridge. What's preventing you from having it right now? Check it out. If you are wanting to build a business, what's preventing you from having that successful business that you worked at in step 1 right now? Step 3 is hypothesize. And this is the part people are scared to do, right? Hypothesize how you're going to solve that problem and overcome that challenge. So make it up. No one knows. Go do your research. Go find out what skills you need to learn to overcome that. And I'm going to tell you a story how this exact thing created $1 billion company. And then after you've worked out what it is that you're going to, skills that you need, or the thing that you need to do to overcome it, you go take inspired action. And then you test and measure. And if it doesn't work, you go back to step 3 and you hypothesize how you're going to overcome that. And you just keep going until over time, eventually, you're going to get really great at whatever it is that you're trying to do. So, like, I always butcher this guy's last name, but he's the CEO of Impact Theory. He is Tom Billio. Well, I always call him Billio with something else, but look, Google search, you'll find him really easily. He used this to create $1 billion company. So back in the day, there was energy bars and health bars. They either had no sugar in them and tasted like cardboard, or they tasted really great, but they had lots of sugar in them, so they weren't really that healthy. So he realized that there was a gap in the market to find a way to create a really great tasting health bar. So that's what he did. He went out and he realized, he got clarity on what he wanted. And then he worked out what the biggest problem was manufacturing. Now, he doesn't say this for impact or anything like that, or to sound better than he is. He literally believes he was the worst business person known to man. He was an art student who was in filmmaking. So he's one of those guys. And he had no idea what he was doing. And he just ended up getting and learning and learning and learning and overcoming and learning and learning and learning and overcoming. And what he did is he realized that the manufacturing was the biggest challenge. And he ended up, there was no specific gear to make what he wanted. And eventually he worked it out. He got engineers and he engineered his own stuff. He jerry-rigged stuff. Once he learned how to manufacture that bar, all it was left to do was to tell everyone about it. And that's when he had his 0 to 1 moment. 1 minute there wasn't a bar in the market, then there was. Tell everyone about it. Everyone jumps on board. That can happen to you. If you use that, like, does that sound like confidence building? And does that sound like something that you could easily implement into your life? So rather than to get you go back, here's the steps again. Clarity on what you want. Step 2, what's preventing you from having it? Step 3, hypothesize how you're going to overcome that challenge. Step 4, take inspired action and measure how you're going so you can actually tell if it's working or not. That's it. And when it doesn't work, which it probably won't, hypothesize how you're going to overcome it. Learn the skills that you need to learn. Like, that's it. So, like, just remember we're adapters. We're designed to work shit out. So hypothesize how you're going to overcome it. And the biggest thing is, those people that are listening to this wondering, what will people think? They are not going to think jack shit, because if you're not successful, you're insignificant to them. They're worried about their own crap. So you've got no reason to be not confident, because I have been a hot total disaster in some of the things I've done. No one rings me up and goes, hey, Joel, remember that time you were trying really hard at something and you were completely terrible? Well, I just want to remind you of that. No one remembers. They don't. So you've got no reason to not have confidence, because no one's watching anyway. So that whole what will people think is total crap in your head. Christine.
Wow, it's so true, Joel. Oh my gosh, you just dropped so many gold nuggets, and it ties in really well with the second step of the self-confidence formula from Law of Success, and that is, I realized that the dominating thoughts of my mind eventually reproduce themselves in outward bodily action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my mind for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to be, by creating a mental picture of this person and then transforming that picture in reality through practical service. Guys, you are not your thoughts. You don't have to believe everything you think. We've become lazy thinkers. We've got stinking thinking. We are our biggest critic. We've got this fear of judgment when no one's judging us anyway. No one gives a shit because they're stuck in their own shit and drama. So what I want you to know is that you can change your thoughts and direct them in a positive way towards a vision of the person you wish to be. You know, step up to the plate. As Joel said, what the fuck are we waiting for? We are acting as if we're going to live forever. Guess what, guys? You're not, okay? So why are we sitting back and waiting for the right conditions, waiting for the resources? Get bloody resourceful. Change your thoughts. Joel's just given you an incredible formula to get whatever you want in your life. And is it easy? No, it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it and everybody would be successful. But do you want to be a sheeple that follows the masses and relies on the government and waits for change? Or do you want to be one of the leaders that swims against the tide, you know, that doesn't fit into the box, that is thinking and open-minded and, you know, moving forward to progress not just yourself? And that's your only job on this planet, is to be your best self. Because when you turn up as your best self, it has ripples on the people around you. And not just the people around you. Like I'm talking, you have the power to shift communities. And I've seen this. And we've talked about the 75 hard. I know one of my good friends, just from her doing the 75 hard, her three brothers, I don't know if there's 3 or 4 of them, have all gone on to do it. The photos are phenomenal of how they've transformed. Now the dad is doing it. Her friends are doing it just by her showing up as her best self and going, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to give it a crack. I'm going all in and I'm going to see what happens. Yeah. So sometimes it's not the destination. It's just like taking that first step, overcoming that first problem. Her first problem was, how am I going to go 75 days without an alcoholic drink? And I'm like, babe, you can do that. 75 days out of your whole life, that is nothing. You know, like, let's step up. Let's do this together. And then Joel and I, we formed accountability groups. And then they grew and grew. And they've been going for the entire year. And some people have had to restart 5, 6, 7 times, 10 times. But, you know, it's about taking that step, changing your thoughts, you know, believing in yourself. And just because you haven't achieved something yet doesn't mean it's not possible for you. If someone else has achieved something, if they've done it, then you can do it. That's my policy. Like if someone else has done it, then I can freaking do it too. So that's the second step in the self-confidence formula. And I just want to share the third one as well. The third one is, I know that through the principle of auto-suggestion, which is things like your I am statements, your daily mantras, your affirmations, your meditations, those kind of things, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of realizing it. Therefore, I shall devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of the factors named in the 15 lessons of reading the course of the law of your success. So 15 minutes a day is dedicated to, you know, the laws of this book. Half an hour a day is dedicated to you visualizing the person you want to become, you know. But as we said in the beginning, you have to get clarity around what it is you want and the person that you need to become in order to get that. So Joel, we're only sort of, I think there's only 5 steps. We're up to the third one there. Like talk to us about thoughts and the power of thoughts. I mean, you work with a lot of people, and it's their mindset, isn't it, that holds them back? Yeah,
it is. It's 100%. If you can't get the mindset right, you're not going to actually, the rest is all just a waste. You got to have the right, you got to believe that you're going to win. So you got to you got to believe that you can win. And that's where the auto suggestion comes in. And I keep on, I reference Andy Frisella a lot. Like 75 Hard is his program. It's free. It's pretty easy to find. It's www.75hard.com. Go listen to the podcast and get your head around it. Even get the book. Get the book that he's just now got out. Like it will tell you why each piece is so important. And, you know, he did a podcast called Winners Win, Losers Lose. And I dare you to listen to it, because if you don't know where you stand in life right now, that podcast will do it. And I bring that one up because the very next podcast he did was about the law of attraction. On the most hardcore, multi-millionaire, multi-business, $300 to $500 million a year income in his businesses or sales in his businesses. Like he's just expanding at a huge rate, huge following. Like this guy's, I've seen him grow. Like he used to say stuff in his late 20s that he wouldn't agree with anymore. And he's had the confidence to grow. And he's also, on a side note, had the confidence to admit he was wrong. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. That's a totally different podcast. But the reason why I bring it up is because I dare you to listen to the podcast back to back, because the very next one, he talks about visualization. He talks about how he's brought things in his life. And when he literally has the success he has today, and people are like, oh my God, it must be so amazing. How come you're not more hyped about it? He goes, it's exactly how I visioned it. I knew this shit was coming because it works. He says, anybody that doesn't believe in visualization and visualizing the person you're going to become and, you know, all that is not going to make it. So, visualizing the guy that, owns the farm, or visualizing the guy that has that successful business, or visualizing the girl that has the body or the income or whatever it is that you want, or the family life, or that's how it's done. And if some guy like Andy Priscilla can visualize that he's that guy that has that business, that helps all these people around the world, that has the cars because he's a car guy and that's what he loves. What is it that you love that you wished you had more of in your life? Do you wish you had cars? Did you wish you had more time with your kids? Do you wish you had the ability to, I don't know, like I know people that have had the ability to just take care of their parents' mortgage. Like Christine had the ability to move towns when her family needed her, because she just visualized that she was that person. So that's where your confidence is going to come from, because you're going to be confident because you can see it already, and people believe what they see more than anything. Like sales technique, if I literally have a proposal ready to shoot through to you while you're on the phone and you can read it, you're going to believe what I say because you believe what you see. It's just how we are. We're visual creatures, right? So visualize it. Just make it. I'm trying to make it logical, Christine. I'm trying to make it not just all about feeling and all that. I want to make it a logical step that you'd be crazy not to do it. Am I right?
Totally. And I think a lot of people out there have never come into the world of personal development and self-growth. And I hadn't either. Like before I came into the network marketing profession, I'd never heard of this term personal growth or self-development. What is that? And why is it important? So it makes so much sense to be able to visualize the things that we want in life. And deep gratitude is being grateful and thankful for those things before they've even happened. I've definitely learned that, and also to be grateful for all the things that are happening already. And I've got this little trick that I learned around money. Every time someone shouts you something, you go into that space of gratitude, and whatever you saved, which you were intending to spend, goes straight into your savings account. And when you implement this one, if you take nothing else from this podcast and you just implement that one thing, that every time someone shouts you something, I guarantee that you will find more people are shouting you things or buying you things that are practical, and the more that you do it, like it shows to the universe that you are living in a state of gratitude. So I went out with a girlfriend last week and she shouted, our meal. And, you go through the whole, oh no, don't, I'll do it. You don't have to pay for me. But you know what? I'm robbing her of the gift of kindness that she wants to deliver to me in that moment. So I've come to agree and step back and go, you know what? Thank you. I'm going to accept this gift. And what I save is going to go into my savings because I'm showing the universe that I'm living in a state of gratitude and I'm honoring, money and kindness and friendship and everything like that. So I want to move on to the fourth step of the self-confidence formula from this book. And the fourth step states, I have clearly mapped out and written down a description of my definite purpose in life for the coming 5 years. Most people don't even visualize what their life is like in the next 5 days. But imagine creating a vision so powerful that you are pulled by purpose. You are pulled by this beautiful mission that drives you and inspires you. So we want you to think about the next 5 years. And I have set a price on my services for each of these 5 years, a price that I intend to earn and receive through strict application of the principle of efficient, satisfactory service, which I will render in advance. Okay. Imagine living in that kind of state. Imagine living and going, you know what? In the next 12 months, I want to be paid this. In the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, this is what I want to be earning. And one of the greatest stories that I know around this is Jim Carrey, when he was so broke and trying to make it as an actor, and he wrote a check to himself from the universe for $10 million. You've probably heard the story before. And that's what he wanted to be paid. And I think it was for his role in Mask. He got paid the $10 million. And it just goes to show how powerful the mind, the thoughts, the visualization, the beliefs are, and how powerful it is. And the universe is always, always conspiring to deliver what you want. And I'm here to tell you that everything you want in life already exists. How cool is that to know that everything you want, everything that you desire in life already exists? And the universe, God, source, faith, whatever you want to believe in, is ready to deliver it. But you need to reinvent yourself. You need to shift your thoughts. You need to show up differently. If you're showing up with doubt and fear, you are going to block yourself. Okay? So it's about becoming the person you know you are capable of becoming. And then the fifth step is, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by a I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because I will first serve them. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it out loud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my entire life, so I will become a successful, happy worker in my chosen field of endeavor. How powerful is that statement, Joel, around developing love for all humanity and the service of others? And it comes back to that great saying, help enough people get what they want and you will get what you want. And we're living in a time where you serve others, where you add so much value, where you go above and beyond and you chase impact rather than income. Honestly, it's the quickest way to fulfillment. When you're making a difference in someone else's life, that's where you really feel fulfilled. That's where you're like, wow, I'm actually making a difference. I'm actually changing the world. I'm making a positive impact. And it doesn't have to be global. It doesn't have to be massive. Maybe it's just the elderly people that you care for at the center where you work. Maybe it's just being the best daycare center employee that you can be and changing the lives of those toddlers that come in every day. Maybe it's being the best swim coach, the best teacher, the best employee in your field and serving others at a higher level, and it all comes back to love. I don't care what anyone says, it all comes back to love. And I know that all people ever want to feel is they want to feel loved. They want to feel respected and appreciated. And if you can do that, if you can make people feel loved in your presence, then you are on your way to success already. Joel, what have you got?
This has been an amazing podcast. I think there's been potentially millions of dollars worth of value put out here. If people implement what we've both said today and the knowledge that we've shared, I'm certain that there's millions of dollars ready to be made of value for sure, because you got this knowledge, guys. You've listened to this podcast, listen to it again, put it on in the car, share it with your friends. Honestly, knowledge is not power. You hear that all the time. You hear knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. That's total bullshit. Knowledge is not power until you put it into action. That's when it's powerful. And if you're sitting here still after this, feeling a little bit less than confident that you can't do this. It's all right for Christine. It's all right for Joel. It's all right for all these people that they're talking about in these stories. Well, here it is. You're not going to find the confidence in another course. You're not going to find it in another Tony Robbins event. You're not going to find it at another conference. You're not going to find it like a coach is not going to fix you. It's not going to happen. The healing is in the doing. It's not in the thinking. It's in the doing. If you want to get more confident, go out and do something. Because as my coach drums into me, both my coaches, high-level coaches that I've spoken to, one says, you will see things in motion that you can't see standing still. My other one says, Joel, what you're looking for may just be around the next corner and you won't be able to see it until you go around that corner. So go do something and you'll find it. The best way to be in business is to be in business. The best way to be confident is to go do something. Go take action. Action cures fear and moves you into a better vibration, better frequency. It gets the universe to conspire with you instead of punching you in the face, telling you to get off your backside, because that's what it's doing. If you're feeling uncomfortable, it is literally just a call to action that something needs to change. If you're feeling heavy, it's the opposite to enlightenment. And aren't we all on the path to enlightenment? Isn't that the reason we're here? You're looking for some purpose. That's it. You're feeling heavy. It means something needs to change. So go out and do something. Take action on one thing. The one gold nugget you heard, go set it into your calendar right now and take action on it. Never leave the sight of a goal without taking some action. So there you go, Christine. That's what I'm going to drop the mic on.
I love that, mate. I love that. And just closing out, like it all comes down to habit. You know, you've got to create habits around it. You know, there's certain things in my day that I do to build my confidence. And I know that when I'm feeling and looking my best, when my health is on track, when my fitness is on track, I feel mentally stronger. I feel physically stronger. I'm turning up as a more confident version of myself. You know, the way that the clothes that I wear, you know, all those kind of things are habits, but I have mantras as well. I have the meditations. I listen to the motivational clips on YouTube, you know, these things that instill that inner belief. And I want to share with people this law. It's called the law of mental telepathy. I don't know if you've heard of it. Go and Google it. It is so powerful, and this is why you need to show up as your best self. It's because others will believe in you only when you believe in yourself. They will actually tune in on your thoughts and feel towards you just as you feel towards yourself. So if you've got the negative self-talk, if you're hating on yourself, if you're not being kind to yourself, then you're going to tolerate being treated like that from other people. And you get in life what you tolerate. So the law of mental telepathy, it takes care of this because you are continuously broadcasting what you think of yourself. And if you have no faith in yourself, others will pick up that vibration of your thoughts and mistake them for their own. Now, do you want that hanging over your head that you are now putting on your thoughts into other people? And I've seen this happen in team environments, in sporting environments, in work environments, where the leader, the coach, the captain drops their thoughts, drops their vibration, their posture, their physiology to a lower level, and it affects the entire team, and the entire team takes on those thoughts themselves. So think about the law of mental telepathy when you're talking to your children, when you're talking to your partner, when you're talking to your parents, your friends, your family. It is so powerful. And another thing I want to say too is don't mistake self-confidence for ego, and please make sure that self-confidence is something that should never be proclaimed or announced except through intelligent performance of constructive deeds. And that sort of brings me to the last point in this book, that believe in yourself, but don't tell the world what you can do. Show the world what you can do. And I want to close it out by saying, repeating this poem in here, which I found really powerful in this chapter. And it says, if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out of the world we find, success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high or rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. And that's what I want to close on, Joel. So if you got anything out of this podcast today, if you've enjoyed this content, as I said, please share it. If you want to go out and grab the book, The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill, do yourself a favor. It will absolutely change the clarity and the direction of your life. So, Joel, was there anything else you want to add?
Hey, I was only going to add the whole share this podcast. If this has been valuable, go find us on Boss Talks on YouTube. Go find us on all your favorite podcasting sites, and share it out, because this is valuable, and definitely get that book and, read it a dozen times. I know people that have, and they are highly successful, and they just sing this book's praises. So peace out. Have a great one.
Thanks, everyone.
Damn. Yeah.